Buckeye Nation and college football world, what's going on? Peter and Rob back with you for another video. This time talking about the House versus the NCAA settlement. As we know, the news broke Friday evening, and the NCAA settled with former athletes from 2016 to 2024 for $2.8 billion, cleaning out the NCAA a little bit. There's some massive implications coming in because it kind of kicks boosters to the curb. Programs like maybe in Oregon, Texas A&M, Miami, Florida, who's been living off the wild, wild west these past few years, maybe they won't be able to capitalize as much because now there is a salary cap for all Division I athletes. And that is set at roughly at $20.5 million as an estimate. But what do you think, Rob, in terms of we're going a little bit from the wild, wild west to kind of reel this in, but do you think this is the end of the lawsuits, or do you think they're just going to continue?
I mean, man, I'd have to say it's about time that there was some type of reform, some type of, oversight with NIL. I mean, like you were saying, it definitely is the wild, wild west.
Sure.
When you have teams like, the Miami Hurricanes or Texas A&M who haven't won anything since the Land Before Time, and they're getting all these top-notch recruits because they can offer the bigger bag. I mean, let me just put things into perspective.
Yeah.
Miami just had Jackson Cantwell, the number one overall offensive tackle, probably the number one overall recruit in the 2026 class, and he's set to be making $2.53 million a year. So, I mean, you're going to see these teams who don't have a winning culture in place have their NIL funds dried up because, like you said, more than likely this means that, you have these NIL collectives, these big donors who just, pouring in money like it's water. And so just like we're going to see who's going to be able to sustain their high recruiting rankings. But as right now, I mean, like, but here's the other thing, man.
Yeah.
So you got to look at the fact. So if there's all these rumors that even before NIL, these programs were paying players. Right. I mean, especially like down in the SEC, who's to say that it's still not going to happen? I mean, like you could easily like do some like behind the doors deal and just have it, be a front, like it's like somebody from the school.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I didn't really read the language of the bill and, what it truly says in terms of, outside donors. But I mean, there's also, I mean, you also have tampering. There's still a lot of tampering going on.
That was one thing that certainly wasn't addressed in this because that part is still completely buck wild and people are taking full advantage of that.
I mean, man,
there's been a lot of stories. Oh, go ahead.
You're hearing about tampering, baseball and basketball and football. I mean, I remember the first time I just heard about, tampering, Drake May, who was a quarterback for not too long ago for North Carolina.
Yeah.
He was talking about how he was called by a Power 5 program at halftime of a game and offered like $5 million to jump in the portal. Then, you have fellow Buckeyes, Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate being offered millions of dollars just to get in the portal. And, then what happened with the Colorado State players, their star wide receiver and their star quarterback being offered like $500,000. I mean, I'd be insulted, by the way, seeing how much these other players are getting.
Seriously.
To hop in the portal. But, it's just like, as I was saying, I mean, just because, there's a budget, just because, I guess the language says you can't use NIL collectives doesn't mean you can't disguise the NIL collectives as it coming from the university. So I just hope there's a lot more oversight in terms of, really putting a stop to just like the insanity, the wild, wild west, the nonsense.
Like you said, this is kind of like a start to the framework. It's not a complete thing yet. It's not what it needs to be. This is an attempt to rein some of this wild, wild westness in, but it's not quite there yet. I've heard all deals over $600 must be approved by the NCAA clearinghouse. I have
six
not the
hundred dollars.
slightest idea how they're going to freaking observe that, especially with all the athletes across all sports. Like, that means every deal is going to have to be approved, and there's no way the NCAA has the power, the manpower to fulfill that
I mean,
stipulation.
that's exactly my thoughts. I mean, if you're gonna have, I mean, just all these, I mean, $600, that's
Right?
like nothing. So just like you're gonna have fatigue. You're not gonna have enough manpower to just have enough oversight. So, I mean, there's gonna be times that people are just be like, okay, approve, 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 approve. Sometimes they may even
It's like
not know what they're approving.
it's like
You're
the
not gonna
Jim
want to read
Carrey
through all this.
movie where he just hits yes on all the prayers. Bruce Almighty,
Yeah.
just you reply to all yes. But yeah, no, and obviously, this has a big impact on the big sports. But another thing I read today in a Bleacher Report article: what does this mean for a football school that doesn't have that wants to compete in both basketball as well, but is clearly a football school like Ohio State? I mean, Ohio State's basketball has been down for a while now, and NIL hasn't even helped revive them. But I think they're just going to go even more by the wayside. But then you got sports in the South, like baseball is it's a revenue generating sport in the South. It just is. And so they're going to be getting paid as well as softball to a lesser extent. Um, and so it's interesting because it's just like, how do these non-revenue sports survive? And then also, how do we navigate this going forward? Because there are going to be more lawsuits. This isn't the end of the road for the NCAA, because if you're putting a cap on what somebody can make, well, first of all, it's the end of amateurism completely altogether. But a player like Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs, what like, you're really going to put a cap on what they can make at this level? Like, I don't know. It's it's a good step in the right direction, but it's not the final piece of the puzzle we need, because you got these superstar, five-star players coming in, and they're going to want more than their cut, like they've been used to the last few years, and what they were expecting when they signed a letter of intent back in February. Now all of a sudden the rules change in July.
I mean, that will just tell you that they weren't committed to the program in the first place. And quite frankly, I want those type of players to stay far away as possible from Columbus. At the end of the day, Ohio State, and Ryan Day has emphasized this over and over again, that
Mm-hmm.
if you're in it for the money, then this school is not for you.
For you.
And that's it. Because pretty much you're just like a bag man. Like
Yep.
you're
Looking for
coming for the
that
money.
handout.
You're there to self profit and not help the team profit in terms of
Sure.
building up that winning culture. So sounds like a good thing, because we're actually going to see now who wants to buy into a team's winning culture and who's just like, okay, I'm still gonna try to go to the school who can give the biggest bag. So.
Certainly, it helps coaches and programs weed out those players without question.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting to see how things further develop. This is just the first step, like we mentioned, and so I expect more lawsuits to come down the tracks and more things to shift and change in the landscape of college football. That's just how it is, man. We are in a new era, a wild time. It's exciting, but it is wild to keep up with. That's for sure. But
Yeah,
yeah, man, I think
definitely.
the Bucks are gonna take advantage to the best of their ability. And as we know, we've seen through the eras, through the change, time and change surely show. Ohio State continues to be consistent. So I don't think anything's going to change for the Buckeyes. What about you?
Nah, man. I mean, like, dude, it. I mean, sure, there's these rumors that Ohio State was paying players, through the Tressel years and the Meyer
Sure.
years. But one thing is that you can say is that they're winners, and who wouldn't want to come play
Yeah.
for the Ohio State Buckeyes? In terms of, like, dude, they're an NFL factory.
Yep.
Like, I remember during the Meyer era that, or even the Tressel era, even the Day era, that pro scouts love and come to Ohio State pro days because everybody's just NFL ready. Like even dude, even I mean DeJuan Jones, I don't think he got drafted pretty high. I mean he's a starting offensive lineman for
Yes.
the Cleveland Browns.
All right.
So I mean in terms of that, why would you not want to come to Ohio State? And just I'm gonna get back to the idea that, okay, now that there's a salary cap, you can't pay these high end players the top dollar. So you're gonna see who actually wants to come to
Yeah.
win, to be developed, to come to the school for the
Yes.
right reasons. So
Put in the work, not just collect a paycheck.
yeah.
No doubt. That's a good synopsis, man. Things will continue to shift and things will continue to change, but we'll be here. And that's going to do it for this one. Go Bucks and God bless. We will see you on the next one.
OH.
I